trying hard to make you see all that you are is all that I need. I know that it's a secret and I gotta keep it, but I want the lights on. Yeah, I want the lights on, and I don't wanna run away anymore. Leave the lights on, leave the lights on. I know that it's a secret and I gotta keep it, but I want the lights on. Yeah, I want the lights on, and I don't wanna run away anymore. Leave the lights on, leave the lights on, leave the lights on. Lights on, lights on.
We're about ready to start our award celebration.
Good afternoon. I'm Catherine Rodela. I'm from Washington State University.
And Michael O'Malley, Texas State University, will be your MCs today. All right, so let's, the applause is great. Let's just start out with a really hearty, strong round of applause for all UCEA people, for the staff serving lunch, for our awardees, for the people back at our institutions.
You can take it. If I put it down, you can have it.
It's exciting to once again gather in person, which we had started to do last year, to be able to see each other, reconnect, see old friends, new friends, meet new people. I got a text today from a dear colleague I met at the first International Qualitative Congress, whatever they call that, in Illinois, a long time ago, and we had become good friends and written together, and you know how time goes, we haven't seen each other in years and years, and I got a text from her today that she's here in this hotel for a different conference. So Catherine and I hope that all of you have those same kinds of reconnections with people that are dear to you, and people that will be new colleagues and new friends for you. I'm very upset as we start because I want to point out I did not get the memo about sparkly shoes, and if I had gotten it, aren't they? That's what we're talking about. I promise sparkling shoes next year if I'm invited back. A few things about our logistics. For our presenters and our awardees will be coming up. So we'll ask you when your award appears to be next, if you would come up to this side. The nominators will come up first to present their nomination. Then the awardees behind them for your remarks. We'll ask you to please exit from this side, so up this way, exit this direction, because our photographer would love to get a picture of the nominator and the awardee together. And then we'll ask all of our awardees to please stay at the end for a group picture up here up front.
Thank you, Michael. And also, for the record, I did ask Michael if he wanted to coordinate outfits. He got no response, so I really did try. I just want to also say something special. I want to give a shout out to a special person right now. My 12-year-old son, Rudy Duncan, is over there in the corner wearing a fabulous, oh look at me standing up, fabulous blazer. And for me,
I don't even know if you can handle it. All I know is you can have it. I don't even know if you can handle it.
Also the way that
All I know is you can have it. I don't even know if you can handle it. All I know is you can have it. I don't even know if you can handle it. All I know is you can have it.
That's what I hope. Is a space that you're new to the space, that you're able to make connections, build relationships, put yourself out there, wear the sparkly boots or whatever you want, do your thing, be your true full self here, and also that those of us that have been here for a long time build So my job, my logistical piece, informed also by my role as a mother, also for as a teacher, high school teacher, our son is just to remind our folks who are going to be convening for the awards about our time limits. Okay? Yeah. So the nominators each get 1 minute to share and introduce the award winner. It's not a ton of time, but we want to make sure we respect everybody's time. The recipients get 3 minutes each for their remarks as they accept the awards. It ends. Is there a here? Sparkle will kick out. We gotta go. So, anyways, we're still in the spirit that this is a celebration, a time for us to start out the conference. So we're so excited to begin. So welcome everyone.
I made a note on my UCEA paperwork here that next time Catherine Rodella says anything about coordinating outfits or anything at all, I'm paying attention. There are sponsors that we're extraordinarily grateful for supporting UCEA and our luncheon today. This is our award lineup, so if you'll be coming up to the podium, if you can take a moment to see about where we fall. And as we're approaching the end of the group before you make your way up to the As we celebrate our UCEA awards and our extraordinary accomplishments of our colleagues and our peers, all who contribute to the field of education that collectively people are making as individual scholars and teachers and groups and institutions and collaborators. So our award presentation today is the Excellence in Educational Leadership Award. Through this award, UCEA annually recognizes practicing school administrators who have made significant contributions to the improvement of administrative preparation. Awardees are nominated by UCEA member institutions. And their nominating institutions are Tiffany Anderson, Kansas State University; Brian Jordan, Kansas State University; Rob Anderson, Loyola Marymount University; Thomas Fasano, St. John's University; John Smith, University of Alabama; Michelle Torres, University of New Mexico; Brenda Clee, University of Northern Colorado; and Phyllis Picardo, University of Virginia. Congratulations to all. We'll begin with our next segment with our journal awardees. The William J. Davis Award was presented in 1979 in honor of the late William Davis, former Associate Director of UCEA and Assistant Professor at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. The award is given annually to the authors of the most outstanding article published in educational administration globally during the preceding volume year. The William J. Davis Award will be presented by editor Gerardo.
I miss you all the same.
This year's selection committee for the William J. Davis Award was comprised of Mike from the University of
I know you're scared sometimes. Don't know if you're wrong or right. You've been doing things you never thought you'd do.
We also want to
Taking it day by day. It seems like you lost your way. Even when you win, it still feels like you lose. When your heart is racing at the speed of light, and you feel like you got nowhere else to go. No, I hold you till the sun comes in the morning light. Yeah, I'll keep you safe, I'll never let you go.
pandemic.
When your heart is racing at the speed of light, and you feel like you got nowhere else to go. No, I hold you till the sun comes in the morning light. Yeah, I'll keep you safe, I'll never let you go.
came to call Hearts and Minds First. As we say in the paper, according to this theory of change, efforts to become more equitable as a school first required shifts in individuals' understandings, beliefs, and attitudes, changes to the hearts and minds prior to engaging in other actions to address organizational change. And to our dismay, guess what? We realized we had also participated in this logic, and we didn't see it until we had done our analysis. So for all the time and struggle it entailed, this paper also held very profound learning for both of us. We've come to see this Hearts and Minds First logic in many of our equity change efforts, and this notion has really fundamentally reshaped our own teaching, our leadership, and scholarship as we support leaders in undertaking organizational changes that are not contingent on first winning everyone's individuals' hearts and minds. So we greatly appreciate this award and the opportunity to share our learning with the field through this paper. We hope it can contribute to the collective good trouble that we're all up to in fostering racial and educational justice in our schools, our systems, and our communities. Thank you so much.
The Paula Silver Case Award memorializes the life and work of Paula Silver, a UCEA Associate Director and President-elect who made significant contributions to our field through excellence in scholarship, advocacy for women, and an inspired understanding of praxis. The Paula Silver Case Award recognizes the authors of the most outstanding case published in the last volume year of the Journal of Cases in Educational Leadership. This award will be presented by co-editor Mariela Rodriguez.
Thanks, Mike. As was mentioned, the Paula Silver Case Award, being instituted in 1999 to memorialize the life and work of Paula Silver. A Sterling Silver Bowl then is presented annually to the authors of this outstanding paper. We would like to thank the award committee, Aaron Anderson, Bradley Davis, and former winner, Erica Fernandez. The case that is being awarded today is excavating the layers of trauma in homelands and hostlands, supporting political refugees in U.S. schools by Maytap Akay and Reva Jaffe Walter. The case was especially significant in many ways, timely, important, and relevant, given the situations of civil and political unrest across the world. The case highlights the challenges that students, families, and schools have when there is not enough support to address the connection between family and schools intersecting dynamics. Regrettably, the award winners were not able to join us today, but they did send a message that I am happy to share with you. This award is especially meaningful to us as we see our paper as an opportunity to illuminate the struggles and the resilience of students and families who are political refugees. We would like to thank the JCEL editorial board and Monica Byrne Jimenez and the UCEA leadership for this honor today. We are grateful to JCEL for creating a venue that allowed us to share insights into the complexities of refugee students' lives, from the trauma and ongoing fear related to persecution in home countries, as well as hostility towards refugees in the U.S., and how this influenced one family's relationship to their suburban school. It also sheds light on the all too familiar situation of an overwhelmed teacher struggling without adequate supports, and invites readers to think about how leaders and teachers might work together to foster collective responsibility for these students. Indeed, in these dark times, when refugees and immigrants face hardship and exclusion across the globe, We are inspired by this opportunity to think otherwise about how schools can be sites of possibility and sanctuary. We are grateful to the Journal for providing this opportunity to support educators and school leaders to learn about this population of students. We dedicate this award to all newcomer families who are resilient and making sacrifices for their children despite the struggles and challenges they face navigating a new system. We would also like to thank all educators and leaders who remain curious and who work every day to create spaces of belonging that resist the systemic inequities and injustices that these students face. Thank you.
The JRLE Best Article Award is given annually to the authors of the most outstanding article published in the Journal of Research on Leadership Education during the preceding volume year. This award will be presented by co-editor April Peters Hawkins.
Good afternoon. It is my honor to present this award for the JRLE Best Article for this article written by Azadeh Osanlu, Whitney Sherman, and Noel Witherspoon. The, the review committee for this award included Dr. Bradley Davis, Dr. A.J. Welton, Dr. Dakota Irby, Dr. Tanya Maloney, who was a recipient last year, and Dr. Stephen Nelson. Every year is a very difficult process to make the decision about which award wins because we get so many wonderful, fascinating, and rigorous submissions. So this year was no different in that process, but it's also really wonderful to see how the field is being influenced by the research that you all are completing. So continue submitting your manuscripts to JRLE, as well as the other journals that have been presented here today. So the article that won for us, for JRLE, is Paying Professional Taxes for Promotion and Tenure, the Cost of Justice Work for Black Faculty. And this article is really fascinating discussion about the experiences that Black faculty have had as they have gone through the tenure earning process. So without further ado, because I'm at 58 seconds, please join me in congratulating Noel, Azadeh, and Whitney on their very wonderful article.
Thank you all so much. I'm so pleased to accept this award on behalf of Noel Arnold, Whitney Sherman Newcomb, and myself. When we wrote this article, we were excited to be able to work together once again. Most importantly, it was to continue our work on unrepresented scholars, and in this context, to examine the effects of university policies and practices on those who are deeply committed to doing justice work. Because as we all know, social justice is in the doing, not just the talking. We thank the award committee, JRLE, April Peter Hawkins, Kathy Horn, and UCEA for the award and for continuing to spotlight and foster justice. Personally, I want to thank my students. It is for them I continue to do justice work. Thank you so very much.
So on to the faculty awards. Our first award is the Jack A. Culbertson Early Career Award. This award was established in honor of UCEA's first full-time executive director, who served 22 years in the position. Dr. Culbertson took particular interest in the scholarly endeavors of early career faculty, recognizing in their work the future of the profession. The award is presented annually to an outstanding early career educational leadership professor in recognition of their significant contributions to the field of educational leadership. Individuals nominated must have been professors for 6 years or fewer and currently serve in a UCEA university. The Culbertson Award will be presented to 2 awardees, first by Chad Lockmiller and then by Lisa Kensler.
Good afternoon. I have the distinct pleasure of presenting the UCEA Jack Culbertson Award to my friend and colleague, Frank Perrone. When Frank joined our department, he did so in the depths of the pandemic. He had no community, no networks with the institution. Heck, he didn't even have a copy card for quite a while. But what Frank did in that space was incredible. He put his head down, he built networks, he focused on his research. He showed us not just that he's an amazing scholar, he showed us he was an amazing colleague. Frank's work on educator career trajectories and his interest in using data to help us understand how our programs perform is something that I think all of us are going to benefit from in the years ahead. But the thing that I want everyone here to know is what Frank did and what his nominators, or the folks who wrote the letters of support, shared. Frank is the kind of colleague who builds community. He reaches out with the belief that we're better together. He invests in individuals. In fact, many of the letters that were shared as part of his nominating packet noted that he was viewed as a mentor. That's something that's truly unique for someone who's just beginning their career. So Frank, congratulations. This is a very well-deserved honor, and it gives me great pleasure to present it to you.
So thank you very much, Chad. I'm honored and grateful to be selected for this award, and I thank UCEA for providing a place for such recognition and a place for junior scholars to grow. I recognize I'm very fortunate to have many mentors and colleagues who guided me to where I am today. I'm also very fortunate to have become a member of several families and communities across my lifetime. I thank my personal family for all and who they are. I thank my professional K-12 educator family for the work they do every day in supporting my choice to take the path I did. I also thank my UVA family for taking a chance on me, providing opportunities and unique lifetime bonds. My UNM family, I will forever cherish the 3 years I spent with you and the opportunity and love you've given me. My growing UCEA family, thank you for your collaboration, continued kindness. And last and certainly not least, I thank my IU family, led by the outstanding mentor and colleague, Dr. Chad Lockmiller, and the tremendous team I get to work with every single day. I'm very blessed. And I hope, as I speak about family, as I speak about community, that we too recognize many people here for the first time, second time, third time at a UCEA conference, many scraping together money to make it here on their own. As a community, as a family, I hope we all continue to grow by talking to people we don't know, providing encouraging words, and making others know they belong, and remembering what it's like to be new to a community as well. Thank you.
Well, I am so excited to get to present this award to Andrew, and congratulations, Frank. It sounds, I don't know you super well, but it sounds like you and Andrew are 2 peas in a pod. I could easily fill many minutes with stories about my admiration for Andrew as a scholar, a colleague, and most importantly, a spectacular human. But it's 1 minute, and I'm going to stick to the time or less. And you know, nominating Nominating an individual does not happen alone. There's a community of people who respond quickly to the invitation to write a letter and take their time to do so. And I have to say that putting Andrew's packet together was the easiest packet I've ever put together because people were so quick to respond with letter writing and support and cheers for Andrew. His research is timely, rigorous, and practical. And most importantly, what you all don't get to see, you get to see and hear his research and his brilliance, but what you don't get to see is how in our department, he takes care of our students. And he too serves as a mentor to them. And not only that, he's created this whole organization called CUMER that brings in students who are anxious and nervous about quantitative research, and he helps them navigate that in addition to their coursework. And it's really phenomenal. So I'll end on that and just, I couldn't be more happy for you, Dr. Pendola.
Oh, I like it. Oh, do I take it now? Okay. Oh, thank you. Well, I want to say hi, everybody, and thank you so much. I'm both honored and humbled to be standing amongst those people who I've looked up to for my entire career. It's a great honor to be here. I want to say thank you to the UCEA leadership, the executive committee, the convention planning committee, and headquarters staff for making UCEA the welcoming, supportive, and I would say a generative place. Of course, I owe everything to those that have supported me along the way. So I'd like to thank Dr. Lisa Kensler. She has served in the arduous task of being a mentor and a friend to me, so I appreciate that very much. I'd like to express my thanks to my students, who I continue to be amazed by, who overcome tremendous obstacles to make sure that the next generation can thrive. I'd like to thank those who provided support for me and who have been welcoming and inclusive. To a new student and a colleague, those who provided support for this were David DeMatthews, Liz Hollingworth, Michelle Young, and my advisor, Ed Fuller. I've been so lucky to have an outstanding support from my team at Auburn, Ellen Reams, Amy Serafini, Jason Bryant, and Al Parham. So I hope that in being in UCEA, we can in some small way help support a world of schools led with dignity, resiliency, and care. I look forward to a future with UCEA, and I can't wait for my chance to give back to the community of scholars here and educators all over. Thank you.
Our next award is the Master Professor Award. This award recognizes senior professors in the field of educational administration whose professional lives have been characterized by extraordinary commitment, distinguished leadership, superior teaching, and outstanding service to leadership preparation. This award will be presented by Fran Cochin.
So great to see everybody, and what a pleasure and honor it is to present my great friend and one of our finest leaders, Carol Mullen, who is receiving the Master Professor Award. This award is very prestigious, and the requirements are very extensive, and they include being a proficient writer and a well-established academician who's made major contributions to the research in our field. You'll see some of the things Carol has done in the booklet for today. But what I want to talk about is the other part of the award. This is something that is given to people who genuinely show their care and concern for their students. And I want to share just a couple comments from her students that capture the essence of this. In one of the letters her students wrote, Dr. Mullen is dedicated to her students and their success. Her passion for teaching, mentoring, and advising students is unwavering. She's steadfast in making herself available to us. And a final comment came from a student who had a family member pass away unexpectedly. This student wrote, Dr. Mullen reached out with the kindest words I have ever heard. She allowed me time to process my loss, and she helped me to climb out of my sadness and bring me back to my PhD work. The blessing Dr. Mullen is to me brings tears to my eyes. My fellow professionals, these words exemplify what it means to be a master professor.
Thank you, Fran, for those extremely generous words. I first met Fran in the 90s in Florida. We were working together on a book, and all these years later, here we're rooming together at UCEA. It's terrific, it's wonderful. We were working on a book, New Directions in Mentoring, and I was merging onto the UCEA scene. New from Canada, and here UCEA embraced me, as did Fran. So I guess I conflate Fran and UCEA, and Fran's a very good friend of mine, as is UCEA. I want to thank the nominators, the nominating committee, UCEA's nominating committee. I don't know who you are, so if I passed you and I don't thank you, it's because I truly do not know who you are. It's a blinded process at the candidate's end. I really appreciate the letters that my students wrote. I mean, hearing those words, that blows me away. I feel that those words apply to many of you. I know many of you. You are tremendous mentors who really care about your students. So I know that you could be up here, and many of you have been. I do want to mention as well that there's a special issue that came out with the Mentoring and Tutoring Journal. Mentoring and Tutoring Journal is published by Routledge. And in it are J.D. Scribner and Master Professor awardees in a legacy special issue for which I was guest editor. I mention that because you can read about Mark Gooden and his students that he mentored and other awardees. And when you read it, you can't help but think there's such deep conviction and love. And yes, we think about productivity and what our students, our mentees become, but the reciprocal learning is really powerful. And the equitable perspective comes through loud and clear. I think we really have gotten there, UCEA. Thank you.
It's on now.
No, it's not. That's me.
Oh, okay. Oh, there we go. That's fine.
Let me get this back up.
Oh, just like, oh, there we go.
Thank you. And then get it on the right slide for me.
There we go. Awesome. Hello, everybody. Just some changing of the slides. Thank you so much. The next award, which is going to come up on the slide soon, is the J.D. Scribner Mentoring Award. There we go. This award honors J. Scribner, whose prolific career has spanned over 4 decades and who has mentored a host of doctoral students into the profession while advising and supporting countless early career professors through this same time. It was Dr. Scribner's unique ability to reach across racial, class, and gender differences in his mentorship, nurturing scholars from underrepresented backgrounds, that is remembered here today. The J.D. Scribner Mentoring Award recognizes educational leadership faculty who have made a substantive contribution to the field by mentoring the next generation of students into roles as university research professors, while also recognizing the important roles mentors play in supporting and advising early career faculty. This award will be presented by Chris Torres.
Good afternoon, y'all. This award was made for Tara. So it's my distinct honor to present this award to my friend and colleague, Dr. Tara Vizant-Chambers. Few faculty are more deserving of the J. Scribner Mentoring Award. So many of you in this room understand this even better than I do. So Tara has a long record of excellence in mentoring, advising, and supporting diverse students and colleagues, particularly when it comes to preparing them to be successful as academics and socializing them into academia in a way that improves the academy as a whole. There's so many intangible elements of Tara's contributions. She's made a profound and lasting impact on so many people, including people in this room. She has a way of connecting with people and supporting them even when they don't know they need it. Like insisting that I always have water and a snack in my hand while I'm giving days-long job talks at MSU. She always shows up for people and causes in ways both big and small. I think that's one of the distinguishing qualities of Tara. She just always shows up. By quantitative standards, you can observe the sheer scale of commitment she's taken on as an advisor and mentor. She's successfully chaired nearly 40 doctoral student graduates and advised over 150 students total over the course of her career. A good number of these students have gone on to become faculty at top research institutions in no small part, and in fact, because of Tara's advising. And while these accomplishments are significant, it's what she does qualitatively that is most impressive. What goes unsaid in those numbers are the ways in which she develops trusting relationships with students, particularly students of color, and how they flock to her. She spends many hours building these relationships and supporting people, often in very invisible ways that go unrewarded. And that's why I'm so excited to visibly honor her enormous contributions to so many people and to our field. Congratulations, Tara.
Thanks, Chris. That means so much. I haven't been able to read these comments without crying, so we're going to see how this goes. Ever since I learned that I received this award, I've had conflicting emotions that I couldn't quite understand. So obviously honored, but also something else that I couldn't quite identify. But it all made sense a few weeks ago when I had the occasion to travel back to my graduate school alma mater, the University of Illinois, to celebrate the retirement of two beloved professors, Dr. Bill Trent and Dr. James Anderson, who we call Doc. Dr. Trent instilled in us the power of research and our own capability to do it. I remember asking questions in class and him responding, "Well, that's an empirical question, Tara. You have the skills to go find out the answer." He's also the person who, when I and some of my first year classmates were so homesick and lonely, opened his house to us to eat good food and chat and play board games. He has not forgotten, as he reminded me at the event, and neither have I, to my mortification, that finally around 2 a.m. he came downstairs and told us that we could just have the house and to just shut the door behind him when we left. True story, horrifying, but true story. I have students over to my house, but by 10 o'clock they gotta go. And Dr. Anderson, in addition to clarifying for me the incredible role that Black folks have played in the history of public education in the United States and changing the trajectory of my own research, he was also incredibly supportive and encouraging and provided the model for me of being the encouraging and patient mentor who always had my back. My students will tell you that I'm still working on the patience part, but the model is there, it's aspirational. But both Dr. Anderson and Dr. Trent showed me that academia could be like a family, and that you never knew that you needed. Several hundred other former classmates, friends, students came back to Champaign for the retirement ceremony, and one of the speakers characterized the ripple effect of Doc's mentoring well by saying, "People who are mentored well, mentor well." That was the moment that I identified why I had had such conflicting emotions about receiving this mentoring award, because to the degree that I am a mentor, Deserving of this recognition, it is because of the love and care of mentors like Doc and Trent and so many others who poured into me. And so I stand here today grateful to those who nominated me, my wonderful colleague, Chris Torres. He may have left MSU, but you've never left us. We won't let you go. And my students and friends, Darius Stanley, Alonzo Gilzine, Courtney Malden, Lawrence Louie. I know that there are many others who would have nominated me in spirit. And if I start naming people, I'll lose my time. I also thank the UCEA Awards Committee, my colleagues and friends at MSU who all take mentoring seriously, and so we set that bar high. And of course, I thank Dr. Jay Scribner, for whom this award is named and who I have learned over the years through the stories of others. And actually just yesterday in the car, someone was talking about Jay Scribner and his impact on the way from the airport. Just how robust his influence has been too. So I'm grateful to know that there have been other such lights in the world. And my deepest hope is that we will, all of us, continue this legacy forward. And actually, that's the best part of standing up here today. It's seeing all of you and and you doing all of those things. So I'm just so proud, so proud. And then lastly, I have to thank my family, my husband Glenn and my son Langston for all of their support. They couldn't be here today, but I love them so much. And just please know that I wouldn't be able to do any of the things that I'm being recognized for without them. So thank you. I'm just so honored, grateful. I appreciate it.
So now we're moving on to the Leadership Awards. The next award is the Linda C. Tillman Social and Racial Justice Award. This award is in honor of Linda C. Tillman, whose career spans over 4 decades in K-12 and higher education. Dr. Tillman has worked diligently and courageously to diversify the educational leadership professorship by drawing public attention to systemic racism, making institutional systems more racially equitable, creating supportive structures for students and faculty of color, and mentoring students and faculty of color. The Linda C. Tillman Social and Racial Justice Award will be presented to 2 awardees, first by Diane Wren and then by Cheryl Matias. Come on down. Oops, sorry. Is Diane here? No? All right. I apologize. So, what's going on? Are you sharing? Okay, this is a moment of what's happening. You're Diane Wren. Okay, Michelle.
I'm Cheryl.
You're Cheryl Matias. Oh, there's not a video? All right, let's go. Okay, no worries. Okay.
Well, let's give them a big round of
Yes. For Lenford Charles Sutton. All right. So, Cheryl? Dr. Michelle Young?
Hello, everybody. I'm not Cheryl Matias. I'm Michelle Young. And I'm very happy to be standing before you and honoring my good colleague, Julian Vasquez Heilig, with this amazing award that last year was established in honor of Dr. Linda Tillman. Dr. Vasquez Heilig was nominated for this award for a number of different reasons, from his scholarship to his leadership to his service. And I just want to highlight a few things that he has done. Confronting racism by contributing to the public discourse. A very clear example of this is his work with the NAACP. He's also worked to change institutional processes, particularly in his role as dean, but also he did this as department chair and as a colleague throughout his years. He's also exercised organizational leadership. In his role as dean, he hired one of the first associate deans for inclusiveness and internationalization at University of Kentucky. Has his university strategic plan focused on DEI issues and turning around the doctoral program at Cal State. He engaged doctoral students and faculty of color. He has been a Jackson Scholar mentor for many years. He has mentored many of those young scholars beyond the call of duty, and has very good friends and colleagues that he continues to contribute to. In sum, Julian has been a driving force in his leadership relative to research, policy, and practice. You can take a look at his blogs, his NAACP work, his work with states. It is truly inspiring. Congratulations, Julian.
This is really heavy. Thank you. Metaphorically, too. So glad to see so many of you, so many friends. I want to thank the matriarchs and my family for this. I want to thank the matriarchs in the profession, Linda Tillman, Linda Darling-Hammond. Where did Michelle go? Michelle gave me my start as associate director 1 year into my assistant professorship at UT. So thank you for instilling in me a commitment to education and social justice. It's been a sincere honor of my life over the last decade to have a front row seat in the NAACP to education policy and education reform. From our fight against the social studies standards in 2010, where they tried to change slavery to Atlantic triangular trade, we didn't let it happen. To the charter school moratorium in 2016 that came from the California NAACP and asked hard questions about school choice and how it was impacting African American students and what had been observed in the research literature. It's been the honor of my life to carry on the legacy of my great-grandmother in the NAACP, who was at the I Have a Dream speech in Detroit when it was first given by Martin Luther King Jr. Then finally, I've been grateful to serve as dean at the University of Kentucky. We've increased our freshman enrollment by 60% in just 3 years. We've increased our diversity in our freshman enrollment by 150% in just 3 years. We've increased our teacher ed by, there's an even better one, just a second. We've increased our teacher ed by 80% in just 3 years. And we've increased the number of students of color in our teacher ed program by 275%. What does that mean in real numbers? We've gone from 12 students of color in our teacher ed program at Kentucky to almost 50 in just 3 years. And so I've been so honored and glad to serve with the Wildcats, but I do have an announcement. This is a season of change, and I want to share with you some news. I've accepted the provost role at Western Michigan University, and I will be returning home to Michigan January 4th of 2003. So I hope to carry forward and represent ed leadership. There aren't very many of us that are provosts, so I hope that I represent all of us in that role. And then finally, I want to dedicate this award to the elders, the NAACP elders of my generation. They're leaving us, and I miss them. Thank you.
So our last award is coming up next. It's the Rawld F. Campbell Lifetime Achievement Award. This award recognizes senior professors in the field of educational administration whose professional lives have been characterized by extraordinary commitment, excellence, leadership, productivity, generosity, and service. At the same time, the award celebrates the remarkable pioneer in life of Rawld Campbell, whose distinguished career spanned many years and exemplified these characteristics. This award will be presented by Michael O'Malley.
Thank you, Catherine.
So in my 1 minute, I'll highlight just 2 examples of Dr. Catherine Lugg's lasting impact on our field, but I just first want to say how much I admire her and how much I personally owe to her for mentoring, support, guidance. It's just incredible, and I know so many of us feel the same way. So my 2 examples. Over her career, Cath Lugg devoted much energy to mentoring scholars from marginalized communities, including queer scholars, scholars of color, women, and just anxious and hopeful emergent scholars looking for support on their own path forward. She always made it look effortless, though we all know the reality of what it takes and what she gave. In her scholarship, Cath Lugg put gender and queer issues squarely on the agenda of our field of educational leadership. She reclaimed the power of historically oppressive slurs that many of us suffered in our own experiences of schooling and even in our professional lives. Sissies, faggots, lesies, dykes. She redeployed these terms to fuel honest inquiry, to advocate, to liberate, to assert social power, to make visible a community that could have the possibility of pride. Pride in a public school, in a university setting, or even here in UCEA. The extent of Cath's hard-earned scholarly accomplishments in the area of queer studies is remarkable, but make no mistake, there was a professional cost to be paid in her time for such advocacy, and Cath Lugg paid that cost deeply and dearly. But now on to the good stuff. Titled, Cath, as you know, many know, cannot travel and isn't able to be here, so she sent some words to be shared, titled by her own, I was going to say hand, but her own keyboard, Brief Remarks by Catherine Lugg. Thank you to the UCEA Campbell Review Committee, she knew who they were apparently, Gary Crow, Michael Dantley, and Kofi Lamoti, UCEA's Executive Director, Monica Byrne-Jimenez, and Dean Michael O'Malley at Texas State University for your most kind considerations. This truly is the honor of my life, and I regret that circumstances limit my ability to travel to personally thank each and every one of you. I also have many individuals to thank for the wisdom they generously shared with me over the last 30 years, too many to mention today. There are literally hundreds of people who have guided me, read my work, given critical feedback, and cheered me on when I started down this very queer scholarly path. Please know I love you and treasure our work and the work that we've done over these very busy years. A special thanks goes to my wife, Mary Dion, who has endured much of the academic crazy, and she still continues to love and support me. But there is one person I'd like to specifically mention, someone who gave me a research agenda thanks to his visit to Penn State in April of 1994. Michelangelo Signorelli was on a tour for his book, Queer in America. In his address to the queer students and our allies at Penn State, he took direct aim at the queer white graduate students and unloaded a blistering critique on us. He first mentioned the first Bush administration suppression of the Federal Health and Human Services funded study by Paul Gibson, which found that LGBT kids had a much higher rate of suicide than their non-queer peers. This 1989 study had just been released by the Clinton administration in early 1994. Signorelli then noted that white queer graduate students were going to have terrific careers coupled with enormous privilege. So what were we going to do to make life better for our queer children? All of them. More specifically, what is the point of having privilege if you don't use it? That last question cut me to the bone. At that time, I knew there was little to no research on queer children, youth, and adults in the educational administration and policy literatures, and what did exist generally adhered to the old dangerous, tortured, pathological queer lie. Consequently, throughout my career, I focused on expanding the literature as best I could, pointing out the obvious, and taking calculated risks with similarly minded colleagues to address this gaping research chasm. Across my 3 decades of work, I have benefited by having the support of UCEA and Rutgers University when homophobia did impinge on my efforts. That said, I have been extremely fortunate to being able to use what privileges I have to make things less hateful for queer and for trans children, youth, and adults. So my final observation is to the collective body of UCEA. We are living in an age of open and violent fascism, a fascism that targets people of color, uppity women, the disabled, religious minorities, and our queer and our trans children. All of us must be brave for the coming decades, so we speak the truth as we understand it. And please remember, we are never alone and we are not helpless. We, in conjunction with our colleagues, must use the privileges that we have to make this violent world a better place in which all children not merely survive, but that they thrive. Thank you, Catherine Lugg. So we're thinking about wrapping up. We hope that you've enjoyed your lunch. Congratulations to all our awardees. Many thanks to our nominators, and as has been said, please keep your eyes open for the next round of nominations. And
we do want to remind, okay, this is Catherine with instructions, we want to remind our awardees to stay for a group photo up front. Here, yes? I look over at Monica for my directions so I don't mess up anymore. And also, everyone is invited to join for General Session 1, our social justice keynote. Justice for these territories, Indigenous lifeways, leadership, and #LandBack, with keynote speaker Anthony B. Craig from the University of Washington and special guests Michelle M. Jacob from the University of Oregon and Emma Elliott from the University of Washington. Thank you all so much for your time, your generosity, this moment of celebration. Let's go forth inspired by these amazing awardees and do good work and make good trouble. Thank you, everyone.
thank you. Okay, that was fun.
Yay!